us now, a man who works all hours of the day, David Nixon, former BYU linebacker standout, played 4 years in the NFL.
Part of Bravid.
And
Half
a
of Bravid.
critical part of the dynamic duo of Bravid Nogan. David, it's good to have you back on the show, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling well. I just wish Bravid would just go away. I think after Bravid lost the Y factor, I think that should just be abolished from here on out.
It will live on in infamy, my friend. Hey, let's start with the obvious question about BYU football, the big story coming out of the weekend, which was the injury to Taysom Hill. What was your reaction to the news when you found out he won't play another snap in a BYU uniform?
Yeah, I think when I saw him running out the field holding the arm, I pretty much knew it was done at that point. I mean, this is a kid that's battled through injuries his whole career, and as we've seen him, he doesn't just come out with just a bruise or a nick. And so when I saw him run out the field holding his arm, I obviously thought the worst, and sure enough it was. So, obviously sad news. We found out Sunday after the MRI, and now it's just on time to surgery and waiting for that and get that all sorted out. But tough news about the bowl game, obviously not be able to play in that. But one thing I've been telling people about is I think with anything, he went out on top. And at home, what I loved about Taysom that second half is he really started to play like the old Taysom. And we saw him starting to lower his shoulder, run over guys, and he kind of had this spark about him where he wasn't kind of sliding anymore like they wanted to do earlier in the season, but he was out there running guys over and just playing hard, and he was a true gamer. And at the end, of course, the leap, which kind of brought him stardom, leaping over Texas, is what hurt him and kind of kicked him out of the year. But I think all in all, something we'll look back on is that he was a warrior. And what a lot of people don't know about Taysom is he fought through injuries his whole year. Obviously, they had some lingering issues with the injuries he had, from the prior season-ending injuries. But he also had some stuff that nicked him up. Against Mississippi State, he got a hit pointer that really affected him in the Boise State game, and it hurt him to even throw. And so these are injuries that this guy battled through, and nothing but respect for Taysom, and I admire him for battling through those and being the quarterback this year and leading BYU to an 8-4 record, which I think surpassed a lot of people's expectations going into the season.
West Virginia game, there was certainly an injury in that one as well. And because he's tough, that didn't come out per se, but I agree with you with all that. And you mentioned the 8-4 season. Vegas produces a top 25. They have BYU number 24, Football Power Index for ESPN. BYU's top 32, I believe. So I think 8-4 was good when all is said and done. David, what did you think?
Yeah, and I think by the fashion of it as well, the fact that your 4 losses are probably a total combined of, 9 points?
8 points, and if BYU wins the bowl game, that's the fewest amount of points to determine any team's losses of that many that year.
In FBS history.
NCAA record, yeah.
Exactly, and I think that's all you can ask for, especially in a first-year offense and first-year defense and a first-year head coach, is for a team to be competitive in every game. And sure enough, BYU accomplished that. I mean, there wasn't one game where they entered the fourth quarter and we thought, man, they're out of it, and people started leaving early. They were into the last minute of every single game, and there were a ton of games where literally, I look back at that West Virginia game, just the ball bounced, just instead of being tipped up in the air and going for an interception, BYU wins that game and beats a top 20 opponent. So there were a lot of those ones that could have gone either way. But what I love more about it than anything is these guys fight hard. And especially look at this defense. I think in the month of November, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in the fourth quarter they shut out all their opponents in the month of November. So I think it went to show that BYU's coaching staff and the players themselves really bought into the program. But the coaching staff did a great job of second half adjustments. Guys adjusted to them, and they were able to go out there and execute in the second half. And so I think the theme of this team this year is that they just bought in and they finished strong. And you look at them winning 6 of their last 7. I mean that's a feat in of itself. And it's something impressive with this team that they were able to go out there and kind of do what they did against this schedule. Yeah, the schedule didn't end up being as hard or difficult, I think, as everyone thought it would be. But the fact that BYU played so many games on the road and started out so brutally, and because of that, there were a lot of injuries, a lot of unknowns. I mean, you look at Jamal being injured, even Taysom being injured throughout the season with his bumps and bruises, the offensive line shuffling around, defensively, moving guys over from defensive end to running back. There were a ton of guys that people out because of targeting calls. I mean, there's a ton of stuff that BYU had to deal with this year, and like I said, to manage 8 wins was pretty impressive for my end.
Follow him at D_Nixon. He set the Mountain West Conference record for tackles for loss with 43. He also wore number 43 at BYU. Dave, thanks for the time, man.